Welcome to the Highline Herd podcast, where we dive deep into the world of horses and the people who love them. Join us for new episodes every Sunday as we explore everything from horse care, riding tips, and anything else equestrian related. To keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at the Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Highline Herd. I'm Skylar.
I'm Shelby.
And today we are going to be talking about our experiences with bond building.
Yeah, so when you get a new horse, or you're leasing a horse, either way, if you have a horse you're not super familiar with and they're not super familiar with you, bond building is a great way to help you guys figure each other out and learn to communicate and get along.
Yes, or even to just understand your horse a little bit better too. How they behave, how they think, how they interact with the things around them.
Yeah, it definitely helps you understand their quirks, their spooks, how they see the world. Horses that might be more nervous, you might notice them being a little more looky-loo, even in the field when they're doing nothing. Horses that are more brave, you might notice them just meandering about like they don't care about anything. So it definitely gives you a really good insight into the horses, and then, let's dive into that a little bit. Being in the field with them. What all can we do in the field with them? What kind of insights can that give us?
Yeah, so at least for me, I'll talk a lot about like my experiences with Sunny, my Mustang, because it's a great introduction to how do you build that bond with your horse? How do you establish that connection with your horse? So for me, starting out, what I had to do is actually go in the pen with him. Mm-hmm. Now, he was completely wild when I got him, and he was young too. Despite being in holding for about a year, his human interactions were near to none. So when I got in there, I had to be as safe as possible. And that's the key point, especially if you are working with a horse that you have no knowledge about or, is, potentially wild. You want to be safe. You want to do it as safely as possible. So standing kind of on the edge until he got used to me, and then I entered his space into the arena and did it so in a way that I was standing in a spot that I could exit pretty easily. And I was just there in his space, just meandering, not really interacting with him, but paying attention to him and letting him see me. And we just kind of did our own thing for hours on end. And that act alone was a great way for us to kind of gauge, okay, who are you? What are you doing? Not really anything? Okay, cool, sweet. We'll just vibe together. And that started the baseline of our foundation together.
And like we said, it kind of speaks to the horse's personality. Sonny is more curious. He's going to be more interested in what you're doing. He's going to want to see it.
Yeah.
But you've also got Willie who, you come into his pen, and depending on what you're doing, he's probably going to want no part of you. He's going to show no curiosity. He's going to be real standoffish. So, and that's where also safety comes into play, because those more standoffish horses are the ones more likely to lash out or quote unquote explode.
Or react.
Yeah. So, it does give you a good gauge of their personalities. Skylar learned very early on with Sunny that he's a more curious horse. He likes to be involved. He likes to stick his face where she might not want it.
Yeah.
And, it's a polar opposite to Willie.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So Willie came to me, and wherever he came from had a very negative past. Definitely show signs of neglect and abuse. And because of that, he's not very trusting to new people, but especially to men, I've noticed. And this goes for anybody. It could be people that he's seen or met before, but it's just kind of something that I know I try to make other people aware of whenever they meet him for the first time, because he'll kind of look at people, he'll snort a little bit, or he just won't come up to the fence in general. And that's just part of it. Some horses are completely different in the way that they have a connection to you. Some, like Valor, for example. Valor is up in your business, wanting to be pet and loved on. Sunny is kind of the same way. But then you get Willie, and horses sometimes just don't show that connection in those ways.
Well, and I mean, if we really want to get into like the different personalities and how that affects bond building, we could also talk about horses like Chance.
Yeah.
That want nothing more than to be left alone in their own little corner with their pile of hay that they can trash however they like. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing, is like, Chance is very deadhead. He does not care if you're there or not. He just cares if there's food in front of him.
Pretty much.
Your existence means nothing to him. And if you make him work, he hates your existence.
Yes.
Then you've got Willie, who I do think wants to be with people. He's just afraid. And he does tend to drag and snort and be very standoffish. But once Skylar brings him into the barn, lets people kind of pet him and greet him, he settles down usually pretty easily now.
Yeah. And then he realizes, oh, nobody's gonna hurt me. Nobody's gonna do anything.
Right. And, then we got Sunny, who's very young, very unsure, but still very curious and outgoing and wants to try and be involved, even if he's not sure.
Yeah.
And then you got Valor, who sticks his head in the middle of every single conversation, whether he's involved in it or not. You pull out a cell phone and he thinks it's for him. So, you got the different personalities. Chance is on one end, Valor's on the total opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Willie and Sundown in the middle. So all those different personalities, really sitting with them, spending time with them, even when you're not doing anything, like we said at the beginning, like even sitting in the field, all of that can kind of give you a glimpse into them. Because in the field, I can tell you right now, Valor's a play baby. He's the one trying to play with the other geldings. He's the one trying to groom them. He's the one chasing the goat. He's the one dropping things in the trough when I really don't want him to. And then, in the field, Sunny's the one playing in his water trough.
Yeah.
And Chance is the one who just stands at the round bale and never leaves it. Willie goes and rolls and watches and...
Yeah. Just by being in their space or watching them in their own element, it's a great way to see and experience what your horse is, their personality, and then also get them used to you.
That's the big thing, especially when you're dealing with horses like Willie and Sundown that don't have a lot of confidence in people for different reasons, right? Willie's comes from trauma, Sunny's comes from lack of experience, which he's improved immensely. But, just sitting with them really does help them get used to people and get used to the idea of, oh, you're not a big scary monster that's going to come and eat me or cause me harm.
Yeah.
Because like I said earlier, right, Willie will settle down once he realizes he's not coming into the barn for anything bad.
Yep.
And Sundown, once he realizes, oh, you're not a mountain lion, you have a carrot, I'll be your friend.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to pet me and give me scratches? Sweet.
Yeah, right. You're going to knock some of this extra fluff off? Awesome, I'm down. So, it just really gives you a glimpse into him. Because, you sit with Sunny a little bit, he'll creep up to you and kind of interact with you. You sit with Willie, he's going to stand at the other end of the field. He'll look at you, but he might snort at you. And he'll do so at a distance.
Yeah.
But he's still paying attention. He's still showing interest, which is good.
Yes.
It's horses like Chance that get hard to read. Mm-hmm. That want nothing to do with us.
Yeah, unless you have food.
That's all he cares about, though. The moment he realizes you don't have food.
Yeah, he's like, no, I don't care.
Yeah, he's like, I'm going to go to the big, giant container that holds plenty for me.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that's the number one bond building.
Well, I think that's definitely the first step, is just spending time with them in their space, doing so safely, where if they do start running for whatever reason, my guys like to run just to run. So, standing by a tree helps keep me safe, because I'm not going to act like they can see me. They get a little excitable, and sometimes their steering's questionable.
Yeah, or if they start bumping into each other.
You're right.
Yeah. Better safe than sorry.
Yeah, so always stand near, with horses that are familiar with humans, stand near a tree to help give you an extra block. If you're not sure how a horse is going to do with humans, how a horse is going to do with you in their space, stay near the gate, stay near the fence so you can get out as quickly as possible.
Yes.
Because some horses will defend their territory or resource guard what they deem their food very, very aggressively.
Yeah, and ultimately, you want to be safe, but you also want them to be safe as well.
Exactly. You don't want to set them up for failure. So you being able to leave the situation can help release the tension of it.
Yes.
So that is a big one. No matter what, you want to be safe and you want to maintain control as much as you can. They're horses, they're animals. Occasionally they will do things a little bit out of our control. Yeah. Much to our frustration sometimes.
Yep.
So, that's your start. is spending time with them in their space, reading them, getting used to them, figuring out their quirks, their likes, their dislikes, all of that.
Yeah. I would say the next step from there is sharing food, sharing resources. Over the years that humans have been domesticating animals, this is the main tactic that we have used, by sharing a precious resource such as food or water, because ultimately that's what every living animal is going to be motivated by, because they need to keep themselves alive.
Well, and I actually have like a bit of a weird history fact on this one too. The old way of training horses. The Romans did it, cowboys did it. Well, old cowboys, not the ones, someone's going to mention in a later episode. Amish will do it, not all. But it is a training method that is used. They will starve the horses or tie them in such a way or put them in an area where the only way they get those precious resources are through the human.
Mm-hmm.
So then they learn that dependence on humans.
Yes.
And like I said, it's an old training technique. It's been around for hundreds and hundreds of years because that's how humans domesticated animals.
Mm-hmm.
We have a precious resource. Oh, you want this resource? Well, this is how we're going to make you obey. We're going to be the only provider of said resource.
Yeah. And that is just a prime example of like how things used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
Now, stuff like that wouldn't really
more...
fly, but
right. But nowadays horses are more partners, right?
Yes.
Nowadays they're not on the same level as cows, and I'll be honest, even cows have started to crawl their way up the chain of affection humans show. So, time just changes things. Horses are no longer our only accessible form of transportation. So we don't need them to be 100% like on board with us.
Yeah.
We can kind of let them be horses a little bit now.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, sharing that resource, sharing the food, it could start small. It could just be little handfuls of hay, or maybe after a training session. I did this a lot with Sunny. After every single training session, I would go to the middle with a flake of hay, and I would just hand feed him that flake of hay until he told me he was kind of done. He would just kind of check out a little bit, and then I'd be like, okay, cool. You get all the rest of this right here in the middle. I'm going to get out of your space.
Right. And, if hay doesn't work, some horses are pickier than others. Some, know how to play their cards. You could try something higher value. Apples, carrots, molasses. Those molasses oat treats that are really popular. So, sharing a precious resource, but also make that resource valuable.
Yeah.
If it's hay, some horses really will deal their cards and be like, I can get that later. I don't need you. Right? So, you gotta figure out what works for your horse.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, the hand feeding thing wouldn't work for me. So this is where, knowing your horse's personality comes into play. If I were to hand feed Valor all the time, if I were to give him treats all the time, he would become very demanding and pushy, and it just wouldn't work.
Cookie monster.
Yeah, truly, that's what it is. So, that's where knowing your horse comes into play and being able to read them and understanding them.
Mm-hmm.
I know for a fact if I give him treats too often, he's going to just start demanding them. And, there is some boundaries you can teach, but every horse has their quirks. Every horse has their thing. They're just not going to get through their skull. And when it comes to Valor and food, that's a battle I'm not going to fight. I'm just going to operate on what I know with him.
Yeah, hungry hippo will not give up.
Yeah, he looks like a whale 90% of the time. And yet he'll still stand there and demand for food as if he's never had a bite a day in his life.
Yes.
He'll try to eat the spatulas I use to stir their mash in the evenings. I'm like, can you not?
It's not food.
It's not. I know it might smell like it, but no.
Yeah.
But that's, knowing the horses and knowing the situation. I've heard of horses that don't want to be hand-fed.
Mm-hmm.
And for those, you gotta find something else that appeals to them.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be hand feeding. That's just what worked for me and Sunny.
Right. And, for me, Valor loves attention in all forms. So for me, scratching on him, talking to him works. Now, some horses don't like hand feeding. Some horses don't want to be scratched and loved on. Like Willie. Willie doesn't really seem all that into being scratched and loved on.
No.
So what else do you do, right? I've I work with a horse currently who likes verbal cues, but he doesn't really want you to touch him. So if you tell him good boy, he's happy, but anything more, he's kind of like, I don't want that.
Yeah.
So, you just gotta figure out what works. And trust me, there are some weird things out there. Horses can be weird animals.
Sometimes they make you get really creative.
They do. I've heard of somebody that the only way they could have a happy horse for their trail ride was rubbing a potato on them. So...
Hold on. Sidetrack for a minute. What?
So there's, this is what I love about the internet, right? You go out there and there are people that are like, okay, give me your most out of the blue, like wild story about how you figured out how to make your horse happy. Because they are varied like humans, right? And they said the only way they figured out to make their horse cooperate for a trail ride and minimize any tantrums about leaving the barn and sourness was to rub an uncut potato on them.
Dang. Okay.
And yeah, I would love the whole story of how they discovered that, because they even said, like, oh, we've tried everything, but for some reason the potato works.
See, okay, I have the urge now, because you detoured my brain. I have the urge next time we're going on a ride to just cut a potato and rub it on Willie and see what he does.
Well, this person specified uncut, so...
Oh, an uncut. Okay, fine.
Yeah, there's such a difference.
Okay, all right. I will carry a potato in my saddlebags. So if
maybe he won't care about boats then.
That too. If any of you who are listening in try this technique, let us know what happens, because this...
Or if you could find the person that originally posted about their horse and potatoes, let us know. We'd love the whole story.
I love how we went on a 2-minute tangent for potatoes.
Yeah, we're good.
Let's get back to the episode.
That's horses, they're weird animals, okay? There's probably a horse out there that refuses to work unless you carry a hose with you, okay?
Yeah.
Like, I'll only work if you wet me down first like a flower. All right, buddy. Like,
yeah. Well, another great bond building exercise is actually groundwork.
Yeah, so going through the levels, I would actually suggest something before the groundwork. So say you've spent time with your horse, say you've read them and you're kind of getting a gist for them. Maybe you did the hand feeding, maybe you didn't. Like I said, that'll be kind of dependent on your horse. So something in the same ground as hand feeding, but isn't loaded with expectations like groundwork can be, just hang out in the cross ties. Groom them. Figure out their nice and itchy
Grooming,
spot.
Yes.
Yeah. Figure out their itchy spot. Figure out where they really like to be scratched or rubbed. Like,
yeah.
So, like, I know Valor, this is going to be weird, but he really likes it when you hose off his ding-dong. Yeah. Dude gets a little too happy about that, or when you scratch his butt. My horse is kind of...
he's a horse.
He's special. But the only way I figured that out was just regularly grooming him and hanging out with him and being willing to spend time with him outside of work or expectations. And that was just, learning, okay, you prefer to be hosed there of all places, or you prefer me to scratch or curry this area.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it this way. In the wild, that's
bonding.
That's their bonding. That's how the herd dynamics shift and change and grow.
And that ties into, I highly encourage all of you listening, watch your horses in the field. Don't be where they can see you, because some will abandon what they're doing because, the human's around. Are you going to feed us? Are you going to bring us in? Like, what's the human doing? But if you can kind of spy on your horses a little bit, watch your herd, especially a herd of like 5 or more. Mm-hmm. You'll see who's buddies with who. You'll see mutual grooming. You'll see ear pinning. Like, you'll really figure out kind of, where the horse lines up in the herd and where their personality is. Yeah. Because like I mentioned earlier, Valor loves to play. He loves to participate in some mutual grooming. And luckily, I now have a gelding that lives with him that enjoys all of that as well. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, how about Willie and Chance?
Yeah. I mean, Willie and Chance, they just kind of vibe. Both of them are very content eating their food, doing their own thing without people involved. But during the day, like, I'll look out and I'll kind of spy on them when I know they're not watching. And pretty much nothing changes. They're just kind of meandering. But again, it's only a herd of 2. Now, when Sunny's introduced, that's when things start to change, and I start to see a shift in the herd dynamic because there is that additional horse. He's new. They're still trying to figure him out, and he's trying to figure out where he stands in this new dynamic. So you'll see him test the boundaries and a little bit of skirmishes here and there. But aside from that, if there's hay or food or grass or whatever, they're going to focus on that food and not really pay attention to each other.
But what that tells you about like Sunny's personality especially is he's still a baby and he's still exploring his world and his place. I've seen some babies, like the one I recently sold, who don't seem to care all that much about other horses. They don't seem like super curious or interested in exploring their place. They just kind of vibe with everybody. So, reading personalities. Mutual grooming is a great one. So one thing, like back to safety. If your horse wants to groom you a little bit with his lips and it's safe, you can let him groom you back. That's a great way to bond.
Mm-hmm.
But, it is about safety. Valor can lip me. I do not let him use his teeth. If he uses his teeth, that's the end of it. We're done. Like, that's it. I'm walking away.
Yes. That's something that I've had to actually reinforce with Sundown, too, because, he's still a baby. He's still trying to figure things out, like we said. But there will be points where I'm grooming him, and he'll just kind of turn around and start, like, nuzzling me, too, and just kind of grooming with his lips. But then as soon as that teeth, I feel that, like, bite, that's when I stop immediately. I drop what I'm doing, and I either push him out of my space or I leave.
And if you're worried about, like, the aggressiveness of it, remember, in an actual herd setting, whether it's domestic or feral, these horses are far meaner to each other when boundaries are crossed. Yes. I guarantee you if Sunny groomed too aggressively to another stallion in the wild, he would get nailed.
Yeah.
There probably wouldn't be a whole lot of, hey, buddy, knock that off. It would probably be, nope, you're done. And he would probably get kicked pretty hard or bit. So, and even in domestic herds, I know of a mare that if anybody tries to, like, really start nuzzling up to her and grooming her with their teeth, she will not put up with it and she will send them on their way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a domestic herd. Wild herds, you see it too. So don't feel bad about correcting your horse for crossing boundaries and being too rough.
Well, and actually, that's a really good point. You need to establish clear boundaries with your horse too.
Yeah, and that will actually help bond building.
Yes. Yeah.
Having clear, consistent boundaries and expectations for each other. Like, obviously understand what your horse expects from you, just as what you expect from your horse.
Mm-hmm.
That will actually help improve the bond as well because it will show your confidence.
Yes.
Your ability to safely lead and protect and care for them.
Yep.
Because like we said earlier, precious resource. They do depend on humans. Whether you like that knowledge or not, whether you like the responsibility of that statement, horses depend on humans.
Uh-huh.
So whatever way we can bond with them as naturally as possible, absolutely, let's do it. But let's do it safely.
Mm-hmm.
Just like what they do in the wild. There is no aggressive biting in the wild for grooming. Just like they do in a natural herd setting. There is no natural beating the crap out of each other for no reason. But they do have boundaries and expectations for one another.
Yeah.
So just bear that in mind when you're worried about, is this right, is this wrong? You need boundaries. Mm-hmm. Without boundaries, somebody's going to get hurt. And I have seen that personally.
Yes, me too. And it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to witness or hear stories about because ultimately it sucks. So
it really does. And like I said, like, that's how you create a situation that's undesirable for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people sell horses because they're like, oh, he's pushy, he's demanding, he doesn't have manners. But if you never instituted them, why would he?
Yeah.
If you never expected him to manage himself, why would he? And if you didn't have a clear expectation for him, yeah, he's not going to care.
Think about it just like people.
Exactly.
If you don't set clear boundaries with someone and they keep crossing that imaginary boundary in your head,
they don't respect you.
Yeah.
They will never respect you. They'll keep crossing those boundaries. You'll keep being miserable. It never ends well.
Yeah. So it's the same with horses.
Right. And think just like children, right? The kids that run all over their parents really have no faith or trust in their parents when they need to. But the kids who know their parents are going to help them through the scary thing, those are the kids that turn out well. They tend to respect other people. And again, they have boundaries, so they are able to trust that their parents will take care of them. They know how their parents are going to react. It's the same with horses.
Yep. Yeah.
So, we talked about stay in the field with them. We talked about just hanging out, no expectations, grooming. When can we start having expectations, right? What can we expect? That's where groundwork comes into play.
Yeah. Groundwork or even just walking them.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of taking that control over a little bit more, and kind of redirecting them.
One thing I really like to encourage people to do when I work with them as a trainer, especially if they're dealing with a young baby or a pushier horse, I tell them walk them like a dog. That way they get to experience the world with you in a safe, controlled manner. They get to improve their ability to lead. They improve their understanding of everything around them. And they also build a bond with you.
Yeah.
They're spending time with you in a way that has expectations, but they're not heavy. It's literally just, hey, exist with me safely.
Yeah.
Don't run me over, and I might even let you graze a little bit, We're just hanging out, talking, having a lesson, whatever. So, I'll let my horse hang out and munch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a great way to build a bond. It's no expectations, but you're still expecting your horse to be a well-mannered citizen.
Exactly. Or do things that engage them a little bit more instead of just leading them around or, walking them to point A to point B.
Right. Take them in the arena, play with them, teach them how to yield their body, invite them, teach them how to know when they're invited into your space and when they need to get out of your space.
Yeah.
That's a very important skill.
Yes. Moving away from pressure, into pressure, however you're asking. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the benefit to starting your own horse. I think Skylar will find this with Sunny. She can really tune him into her.
Yes.
How she rides, how she moves, how she cues. If she does not, sorry, brain fart. If it's a situation like Willie, where she didn't have that kind of control over the start, she now has a horse that she's got to manage other people's failings, for lack of a better phrasing.
Yeah. Anything that someone else has done to the horse, you either have to rewrite or work with.
Exactly. So, that's where bond building comes into play. Willie knows Skylar isn't going to hurt him, but, he still has that trauma, so there are certain things like boats and jackets that he just, no.
Yeah.
It does not matter. He says no. But I've also seen him go through scary things, shaking the whole time because Skylar asked him to, and he's fighting against his past trauma with his current faith that, okay, she hasn't led me into a situation where I've gotten hurt before, so this is okay.
Yeah.
So, it's just, that's where bonding comes into play. Willie does trust Skylar now to do these scary things.
Yes, and that's big. That should be every equestrian's biggest accomplishment.
Right, and your horse coming to you in the field is part of bonding. I know you fought really hard to get that way with Willie.
I did, yeah. Now I've gotten him to the point where sometimes, yes, he still kind of wants nothing to do with me or anybody, but I've been working hard to kind of get him used to not every time I go out there to catch him or to get him out of the field is going to be, working or doing something that might be scary or something that's intimidating. So I've been trying to do things that are more fun, like simple walks through the woods. That kind of goes into, hand walking or, doing some groundwork exercises. I'll just take him down in our acreage and just walk through the trees, walk over logs, let him sniff things, maybe go down to the creek.
Right.
And that helps tremendously too. It keeps him engaged. It gives him something fun to kind of look forward to, of like, oh, what are we doing today?
Right. Keeping their minds engaged, keeping them interested in you.
Yes.
Because I think that's part of why Chance is the way he is. To him, humans are boring. They're dull. They hold no interest to him because it's always work in his mind.
Yes.
And he's at the point where that mindset's never going to change.
Yeah.
He is what he is.
Yeah.
So think that old man in the nursing home who, constantly is pinching the nurses' butts and making comments to, the people he shouldn't be making comments to.
Yep.
So.
That's Chance.
Yeah. They're not going to change. You just kind of take them as they come, and you're just like, okay, Mr. Smith, we don't do that. Let's go back to your room. That's Chance.
Pretty much.
So, bonding with your horse, it's never big stuff. It's just existing with them, because at the end of the day, that's all they want. They just want to know that they can exist safely with you.
Yeah.
I know this is a controversial term, but it shouldn't be. Horses want a leader. They want to rely on you as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to show them that you can be. Because what does a leader do? They take care of, they protect, they guide. So
you very much have to earn that respect from your horse.
Oh, and every horse is different.
Mm-hmm.
I know, like, the 4 geldings we've mentioned, they're geldings, but 2, they're all kind of go with the flow. They're, even with Willie's trauma, he's still willing to try what Skylar asks of him 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah.
And fighting for their respect or trying to earn it isn't something we have to do. But I have a mare in my barn who regularly tests, are you actually going to be the leader? Are you actually going to, make sure I stay where I need to stay? Are you actually going to manage things as you should? She's constantly testing, and you have to constantly earn. So, every horse is a little bit different.
Yeah.
And some horses, they, like Willie. Willie needs a leader.
He does.
If you go into a situation with Willie and you're not confident,
he's going to feed right off on that, and you're not going to get what you wanted to get done, or it's just going to turn into a bad situation for everybody.
Yeah, so, and whereas, like, Valor and Chance, they don't really they can kind of autopilot a lot of things.
Yeah.
So, build a bond with your horse, learn your horse, understand your horse, because understanding them is what's really going to carry you.
Exactly.
It's one thing to sit in a field with them and brush them and be able to ride them. But can you trust them to stay with you when you fall off? Can you trust them to go through fire for you? Can you trust them to walk over the scary horse-eating tarp and the puddle that they might drown in?
Or climb up a cliff face?
Yeah. Skylar did that one. I yelled at her for it. But that's just it. Like, yeah, a horse will work with you, but do they trust you? Do they have a bond with you? And this episode was just about that. Yeah. Telling you kind of how you can get into your horse's head. Learn to be a horse.
Learn their behaviors. Learn how they communicate. And you're going to be golden. Yeah. Well, that's it for today's episode. So thank you for tuning in, and we hope to catch you the next time. We hope you enjoyed this week's topic. Join us for new episodes every Sunday. And to keep up with the herd, be sure to follow us on Instagram at The Highline Herd and visit our website at thehighlineherd.com. We hope you enjoy the show. See you next week.